So many times when people hear branding, they're thinking of a color palette or a logo or that they have to have it all figured out, and the truth about it is yes, having a color palette and all of those things are amazing, but those things can evolve. But when you come out of the gate with your personal brand, the way you make people feel, they're going to remember that.
All right. Hey, authentic influencers. I am so excited. I have found another one of my girls, and I'm so excited to share her message and her mission with you. Her name is Chanel Rivera, and I am just super excited to introduce her to all of you and to the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to speak to you today as well.
First, I would just love to hear kind of your story, because you have some amazing credibility of things that you have done, and I'm sure not all of it was easy, but I would love to just hear your story of kind of how you came to this place of where you're at now.
So I started when I was 16 working at the Cheesecake Factory, and I stayed there for 10 years when the recession hit, the last recession hit, and I met this boy, and I was in love. Don't worry, it worked out great because he's my husband now. And he convinced me to leave my job and travel the country with him. So I was young and I got to travel with him, and it was amazing. But after about a year of traveling, I really found myself in this place of wanting to be independent and have my own money again. And so I was looking for jobs for him because he traveled for work. And I found him a job, I was looking at jobs at FedEx for him. And I applied for one in my hometown, and I got a call back immediately, and they wanted to hire me. And I thought, okay, well, this is a good way to go back to working without having to go back into waitressing in the hospitality industry and all of that. And I started making $9 an hour. I was 26 years old, making $9 an hour. And being an optimistic person, I was trying to be really excited about it, but it was really draining on me. So I kept thinking, how do I get ahead? And within 4 years, I actually became a district manager at FedEx. It was the fastest I broke all kinds of records at FedEx of taking these really disheveled stores that weren't profitable, that weren't happy with the team. The team was really disgruntled and customer service was terrible. And I turned them all around, started making all of these profits. And I became a district manager where I had 12 stores. And once I hit that, I was making six figures. I had this amazing team that I still get goosebumps about talking about. And somehow I still felt really unfulfilled. I was making six figures. I was doing better financially. I had this really prestigious career. I had put myself back through college, finished my bachelor's degree, and I was still really depressed. And I kept thinking, if somebody who's really smart and powerful like me still feels this isolated, there has to be another woman that feels this way, right? And I think I convinced myself that I felt that way because my peers at FedEx were predominantly older white men, and I didn't fit in. I'm very hot pink and sparkly, and so maybe they just didn't understand me. And I started a beauty group on Facebook called #BeautyandHustle, and within 24 hours 5,000 women joined.
Wow, that's
it
amazing.
was Yeah, and that was back in the day where it wasn't like approve all, where I had to, click on each name. And I remember in that moment going, holy macaroni, this means that there's way more than one person that needs this. And so honestly, it started off as a makeup group, and we would do makeup challenges and makeup live videos. And what I realized is that there were so many women craving other women that wanted to be happy for them when they were getting promoted or celebrating a birthday. Maybe they don't have family, maybe their boyfriend was bad, or and it quickly turned into also women needed all of this support to escape violent relationships or to have a baby and not have the finances for it. And we became this sisterhood almost overnight of helping facilitate change in women's lives. And it was incredible because I was going to work and I was very, on the straight and narrow. I was the #1 district manager in FedEx, and had all this prestige. And then I would come home and I would do like the Little Mermaid makeup look with glitter all over my face. So it was very much so this double life I was living. And very quickly people wanted to buy lipstick and stuff from me. So I created my own lipstick line. I created my own apparel line, and people were buying it. I started making 6 figures right away. And because they were bought into this entire community, not just a product. And then during that whole thing, I started every direct sales in the whole wide world wanted to recruit me. And I never really felt passionate about what they were selling or some of the products or maybe some of the tactics that I had seen, because let's be honest, as a group admin of 25,000 women, you can only imagine the amount of spam I was getting. So I never felt really good about it. And at that point, I was approached by somebody that was selling LuLaRoe. And I was like, well, this is kind of different. I looked at it from a business perspective, not somebody trying to make money. And I was like, well, LuLaRoe would simply be my wholesaler. I wasn't in it for like the team or anything like that. And I launched LuLaRoe and I started making $35,000 a month in top line revenue. And my mind was completely blown, right? And it was so amazing to see that these clothes were not only helping me financially, but they were really creating a different community of women that were starting to wear these clothes and they felt comfortable in them and all of these things. So at a specific point in my career at FedEx, I quit and I did LuLaRoe full time with my husband. I loved it so much, but I missed the coaching aspect of what I was doing at FedEx, getting people promoted and all of that. And I actually started coaching people in LuLaRoe of how to make their businesses more profitable and such. And so eventually I came to the end of the road with LuLaRoe. I was doing really well, but my coaching business is where my heart was. And so I thought, you know what? Maybe if I had more time of not selling leggings and helping these women, I could really make a big, big impact. And so that's what I started to do. And I love every second of it. I'm currently a director for pharmacy as well. And this was also one of these products that, every single direct sales company has tried to, hey, do you want to sell this makeup? And I'm like, no. And pharmacy came along, and I kid you not, 3 nights in a row, I woke up in hot sweats. Like, why are you not joining this company? Why are you not bringing this to women? Because at LuLaRoe, the buy-in at that time was 10, 15 grand. I didn't really have a big team, but at pharmacy, you're talking $20. And my subconscious just kept waking me up going, there's huge opportunity and you're being selfish by not stepping up to the plate. And so right now I do my coaching business, but I also am a director at pharmacy. I love every second of it. And there's just such massive impact that you can make in so many different ways when you're utilizing a company that makes a lot of sense to you. And so I love it.
Love that so much. And it's so important because I think a lot of people, when they're like, okay, I want to learn how to make money, especially I want to make money from home. Like that's kind of where people's minds are right now, And so they're like, well, I'll just join a network marketing company. And then it doesn't matter if like, I really am aligned with them. Like if it sells itself, I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
And you can't really do that. So I love that you have found something that like it aligns with your passion and the brand that you've already created.
Totally. And that's basically what I teach women is something called SAS, which is success through SAS, strategy, authenticity, and soul. And it really comes down to that. If you don't love makeup and skincare or feel that you can empower others with it, don't sell it, just because you see, I call her Sally Sugar. She's my antagonist all the time. You see Sally Sugar killing it with it. It doesn't mean that you will. And it doesn't mean that she's wrong, but it doesn't mean that you will because you're not being authentic to yourself, And so I think that's the biggest piece that I see people fall into these pitfalls of. They see somebody else doing really well with it and they're excited about it, which is great, but like, does it align with you? And it's one of the main reasons that I left LuLaRoe. I mean, I was making a lot of money with LuLaRoe without a team. So it wasn't, it wasn't anything of what conspiracy theorists will call it. I wasn't racking in on this huge team. I was making a lot of money selling product, buying product wholesale and selling it retail and rinsing and repeating, but it didn't align to what my personal brand was all about and where I was trying to go in the future. And I think that's the other thing, is that people feel like once you start one thing, that nothing else will ever work, or that you shouldn't try something else again. And you just evolve. I mean, we're humans evolve. I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago. So why would I think that what's worked for me 7 years ago would work for me today? It may, and it may not.
I think like one thing that I talk about a lot is that having a personal brand is really the key to being successful in network marketing, because there's so many people out there that are selling the same thing as everybody else. But the key is to have that personal brand, and like you've nailed it. So what are some tips that you can give people who are listening of how they can create their own personal brand?
Yeah, thank you for the shout out, because I feel I've worked really hard to be personally branded, and I can't agree with you more that that's the differentiator, right? Is Sally Sugar has a brand where people are looking at her and they're being loyal to her regardless of what she's selling. So I think the most important thing is for people to understand, how do you want your people to feel when they shop with you? So many times when people hear branding, they're thinking of a color palette or a logo, or that they have to have it all figured out, and the truth about it is yes, having a color palette and all of those things are amazing, but those things can evolve. But when you come out of the gate with your personal brand, the way you make people feel, they're going to remember that. Even if you don't ever want them to remember that, they're going to remember how you made them feel. And it's also going to make it so much easier for you to pivot from product to product if you decide to evolve. So with me going from selling my own personal apparel to then selling LuLaRoe, my customers didn't care what I was selling. They knew that they were going to get great customer service, and they were going to feel welcomed and valued, and that they could ask me sizing questions, and I wasn't going to body shame them or make them feel uncomfortable about checking the arms on, a 3X t-shirt or something. I was going to be really honest, like, hey, this actually won't fit you, or yeah, girl, that will be fine. So that's the number one thing that I always recommend, is how do you want your customers to feel when they shop with you, and building a community around that. No matter what you sell, there are always people that are in search of belonging, right? That's why social media is so prevalent in our day-to-day. Everyone wants somewhere to belong to, period. And if you can create that safe space and you integrate a product or a service into that, your personal brand will literally be recession proof, because people are still going to come to you and you're still going to show up for them. And regardless of, like what's going on in the world right now, people are still going to show up for that. So that's the first two things I would really work on. And then definitely looking at, color palettes and all of that, but understanding that, give yourself grace that you can evolve with that. Because so many times people will come to me for branding help, and they feel like once they decide, it's there forever, and I mean, yes, things live on the internet for a long time, but even, Nike has evolved. Every big brand evolves over time. So I think it's just really important for people to understand that from a business strategy standpoint, your business will evolve. I hope it does, because that means you're in business long enough, so to not feel so much pressure to get it right the first time when it comes to the schematics, but to get it right with how you're delivering your services and products to people.
Oh, I love that so much, because you're spot on. Because it really doesn't matter what color your brand is. Like even my brand has gone through different rebrandings and stuff like that, but your mission and your purpose and how you want to make people feel, that's the thing that's never going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's really about living that feeling. I don't do nothing that doesn't help empower women. Even if I was given 6 figures to work with a company that I feel doesn't align with what Beauty and Hustle does, I don't do it, because I know that will live forever, and people are going to look at that and go, maybe she's not really who she said she is. You know what I mean? Maybe her brand really isn't about women empowering. So it's really about sticking to that feeling and that notion of what your mission is, and running with it every day and living and breathing in it. It's a big commitment from that standpoint to say, this is what I'm really here for, and dig your heels in and be committed to that process.
I talk with a lot of women who they understand that they want to have a mission and a purpose, and they want people to feel good, but they don't really know how to create that mission and purpose. So I'm sure through your coaching and stuff like that, you've worked with women who struggle with that too. So how do you help guide them to, this is really the purpose they should be going towards?
Yeah, so the way that I help people with this, and anyone listening, get a pen and paper out, is write down 3 things that you could talk to me about if I locked you in a room all day long. And it's really, applicable right now with the whole quarantine thing, right? But give me 3 pillars of your life that you could talk about, that you could make video content on, that makes you excited, right? Not just, oh, I'm really smart at, I don't know, changing tires or something, but something like, if you change tires and it makes you happy and whatever, great, right? But that's where you should start. If you can think of those 3 things, and I'll just give you mine, and maybe we can hear what your 3 things are. Mine are makeup. I mean, I'm a total makeup junkie. I love it so much. It's literally cured my depression on multiple times of just kind of getting back to reality and having fun with myself and not taking life so seriously. It's women empowerment, and it's my animals. Like, I am a dog mom. I don't have kids. I can't have kids. And so I could talk to you all day long about my pit bulls and how to rescue and all of these things, right? So I think that if you start to really look at that, then you can also look at, what the heck should you be selling? Like, where should you be going in your life, Because if you're somebody that's like, oh, I don't want to talk about makeup, well, then maybe you shouldn't be selling makeup, maybe you should start a pet direct sale. Dude, that's a good idea. Somebody needs to come up with that and recruit me. I'll be your number 1 person, right? But you know what I mean? It's one of those things that you start, and then you're like, wow, okay, well, let me think about that. Because then you can start to think about how you can message things. And through your messaging, you can start to find your purpose. And it doesn't always come easy. And sometimes when you sit there, and maybe somebody listening right now is like, I don't know what my 3 things are. And I feel like sometimes we get depressed about that, because as women, as moms, as business owners, as as the one that everyone dumps into all day long, we forget about ourselves a lot. So if you feel a little discouraged by this right now, that's kind of normal. And I want you guys to make some time to really think about those 3 things and get back to that little 5-year-old girl that was dancing in the rain, that had no worries, because we lose her. We all have lost her at least a couple of times in life, and we'll probably lose her a couple more times, but it's our job to get her back too.
Yeah. I love that. Well, the 3 things that I could talk about all day long. 1 is marketing. I love everything there is about marketing and strategy and all of that kind of stuff. I could talk business marketing 24/7. My second thing is homeschooling. So I have 4 kids that I homeschool, and I used to be an elementary school teacher. And so like just teaching and helping kids learn how to read and all of that is something else that I love. And the third thing is probably creating systems and like life hacks. Like, I love that. Anything that I can be like, all right, how can we take this thing that takes us like 3 hours to do and get it done in an hour? Like, I love that kind of stuff.
I love that too. We are really soul sisters. We're like, wait, that takes an hour? Give me an hour and I'll show you how to do it in 5 minutes every day. And now I just gained you 55 minutes of your day back every day. I love that. I bet how many people need you right now with the whole homeschooling thing.
Yeah, it's a little crazy because like, it's funny because our life hasn't really changed that much. We're already homeschooling our kids. We already work from home, so nothing has really changed that much in my life, but I'm seeing a lot of my friends that are struggling because it can be tricky.
Yeah, totally. Especially when you're not prepared for it.
Yeah. So when you're like thrown into it, like I had like a whole summer to plan, yeah, just getting thrown into it is really hard. Well, I would love to do a shout out for you. Like, where can people find you and get more information about you? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening who are like, I got to connect with this girl.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, you can go to my website is beautyandhustle.com, or they can find me. I live and breathe on Facebook, so if anyone ever needs anything, they can find me on Beauty and Hustle at Facebook or Chanel Rivera on Facebook. I answer all my own private messages, which is insane, and people think I'm crazy and they want to build systems for me, and I'm like, no, it makes me happy. So if anyone ever needs anything, I'm there. I'm here for you guys. So much for having me, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thanks.